Hey, what's up everybody? I'm here at Redeemer Johnson County today, and we had a special treat because we just had a solo electric for the worship leader today, and it was a lot of fun. But I want to show you my setup for the microphones because it's a little bit unconventional, but I got some good results. In a minute, I'll head over to the studio and you can hear the individual tracks and just kind of see what I did and the approach that I took for recording it. I've got a couple amps, and the Morgan is going to be my primary amp. You can see I got a 57 on the front, but I also have a Beta 57 on the back. So this is heading the back of the speaker. Now he's gonna turn it on and blow my hearing out. But what this does is the front microphone lets you pick up the main sound that you hear, but the back microphone is gonna be a lot darker. And this darker sound is gonna give you that beef and that punch. Now you do have to flip the polarity on the back mic because when that speaker is moving one way, it's going to create a positive voltage on the front mic, but a negative voltage at the same time on the back mic. So you have to flip the polarity on that one. It's an important one to remember if you're going to do that. Now most of the time I don't need all that low end out of the back side of the speaker cabinet, so I don't have to use that back mic, but in these situations where this is my only instrument that I have and I want to get it beefier, I don't have a bass or a pad or a keyboard to fill up that low end. I'm getting just a little bit more out of it by getting that back mic. And I'll show you in the studio what I did with my different compression settings on the front and the back mic. So when the music goes up, I get a little bit more beefiness out of it and it feels really nice. Let me show you what I did with the other speaker and then what I'm going to do differently for the second service. So over here I've got a Vox amp, and you can see I've got a Beta 56, which is an instrument mic. That's this one over here. Usually use it on the snare, but no snare drum today. And I've got the Sennheiser 906 on this cab here as well. So if the center is right here-ish, then I go just off to the center, and I'll do a more comprehensive video on miking amps and shooting out mics and all that. That one's in the works. But with both of these amps, it felt pretty good during rehearsal, but then during the service, it got a little thinner. So I'm gonna take the mics and I'm gonna turn them off axis. I've recorded both so that I can show you the before and after on axis and off axis. The playing will be a little different, but everything else should be about the same. I'm gonna move it to off axis, and then you'll get to hear it when I take it back and show you in the studio. So here's on axis, and I'm just gonna go ahead and tip the mic up. Now if I wanted to be really nerdy, I could move it down as well, but that's as far down as this mic stand goes. So tipping it to the side rolls off a little bit of that top end, and so then you get a little bit more bottom end. I'm gonna leave this back mic the same. I'm gonna show you that so you can see it real clearly. And then on this other amp, go over here, I'm gonna take both these mics and I'm gonna turn them off axis. So you get a little bit darker sound out of it, and try to keep these capsules at about the same place as well. So I'm gonna get darker on this one and darker on the other one just by turning the mics. All right, so I came home, took a shower, grew a beard, and now let's listen to these tracks. First, let's listen to the front mic on the Morgan amp, and then we'll mix in the back mic and hear what that sounds like too. Did you hear how when I mixed in the back mic, it got a lot fuller? That feels awesome, especially for this solo electric set when I didn't have any other instruments to fill up the space. Now, one more thing that I did that was pretty cool is that I compressed the front and the back mics differently. The front mic was my main tone, and so I wanted that to stay pretty consistent and keep my finger on the level of that. But on the rear mic, I wanted to let it come up more when he went to those big sections of the chorus. So when he stomped on a pedal and made his level go up, I wanted to compress that less, or at least with a higher threshold, so it would get bigger and fuller automatically when we went to a chorus. I had already flipped the polarity on the console, so these tracks are already arriving in phase. Now let me flip the polarity switch again here to hear what it would sound like if we didn't hit the polarity switch on the console. You hear how it got really thin? That's not a good thing. Now let's listen to those same mics, but with the front mic off axis, and hear how you can hear the tone change. how it got a lot fuller by turning the mic off axis. This is because the microphone is really directional in the higher frequencies. So when we're pointing the microphone away from it, we're gonna lose some of those top frequencies. So turning the mic off axis can make it either fuller or duller, depending on your perspective. I'm not sure what happened, but after listening to these mics by themselves, I'm wondering if the Vox amp was a lot quieter by accident compared to the Morgan. When I'm listening to these, all I'm really hearing is a roomy sound that's not really direct and in your face. And when I put the two mics together, it seems like there's a delay on one rather than the other. Now during the service, I panned one of these mics to the left and the other one to the right, so it kind of gave it this roomy sound to add to the electric, and I was balancing it back and forth with the main mics on the Morgan amp. So while this didn't go exactly as I planned it, it still worked and it still gave me some stereo separation from a mono source. Now even if this would have gone to plan, what's the point of putting two mics on the same amp and then panning them hard left and right? The theory behind this is that you want to have some difference between what's coming out of your left and right speakers because of comb filtering. Now when your ear perceives a level that's the same in both ears, you're going to perceive that as coming from in the middle. That's why when you have a stereo speaker setup, if you've got one speaker over here, you've got another speaker over here, if you have something panned to the center, it's gonna feel like it's right here. It's called the phantom center channel, which is different from phantom power, so don't get confused with that. Not everybody is equidistant from both speakers, so there's gonna be some timing difference between what they're hearing from the left speaker versus the right speaker if they're to one side or the other. So by sending a little bit different signal to the right speaker and the left speaker, we are reducing some of that comb filtering, at least in theory. Now let me push up all these channels so that you can hear what it sounds like with all of them together. Now it might sound a little bit weird when I turn up the second amp mics, but remember during the service I was playing with the levels of these so that it would give a different feeling from song to song and from moment to moment. This was just a quick overview of the setup that I did last time. Be sure to hit subscribe and ding the little bell to get a more full tutorial on mic placement and mic choice. Oh, and if I disappear for a couple weeks, don't worry, I'll be back. My wife's having a baby, but I'll be back making great content for you in no time. When I flipped the polarity on the console, it sent it out to the recorder with the polarity flipped. Now when your ears perceive a sound that's the same level at both ears, in here. This fly is really bugging me right now.